The history of caste system in India. Differentiation of people is the seed for all the unrest and the violence caused in the world, and one such differentiation is caste system. This caste system dates back to 2000 BC with the advent of the Aryans. When Aryans, the fair colored people, came to India, they differentiated the locals from themselves. They classified the natives as Shudras, and the Aryans were themselves divided into three castes. The caste system is mentioned in Rig Veda. It states that the primal man Purush destroyed himself to create a human society, and different castes were created from different parts of his body. From head, Brahmins; from arms, Kshatriyas; from thighs, Vaishyas; and from the feet, Shudras. And these castes were allowed to do only specific occupations, and these occupations were hereditary. That is, the Brahmins were priests, Kshatriyas were rulers, soldiers or warriors, Vaishyas were merchants, landowners, and skilled workers, while Shudras were unskilled workforce, that is, servants, laborers, peasants, etc. And these castes married only among themselves, and these rules were very strict. Only four castes were mentioned in Rig Veda. There was no mention of untouchables in Rig Veda. So it is clear that it wasn't practiced at the beginning, but as the time passed by, it became more rigid. That is, the caste system became more rigid and gave rise to untouchability. Well, who are untouchables? Untouchables are people who married other castes. That is, when a high caste woman married a low caste man, or vice versa. Simply saying, in modern language, intercaste love marriages. People who did intercaste love marriages were expelled from the society, and they start living away from the society. That is, at the outside of villages, at the end of the rivers, inside the forest, etc. They were called outcasts or Dalits, and present day they are known as scheduled castes. Many atrocities were committed on them. They were considered as pollutants, so they weren't allowed to mingle with society, that is in schools, temples, or any other social gatherings. They were not allowed to drink water with the upper caste people or walk on the road unless they tie a bush around their waist to erase their footprints. They were called in the villages only to clean or remove the dead bodies. Dalits were not treated as humans, and they didn't even have basic human rights. It was a horrible practice. For thousands of years, these atrocities were committed on them, and no one could protect them or fight for them until one great man, B.R. Ambedkar. Indians owe a lot to Ambedkar for a unified and peaceful democratic India. If it wasn't him, Indians couldn't be unified. He fought for equal rights not only for Dalits but for all of the Indians. He prepared constitution so that not even a single Indian gets exploited. He also formed special laws to protect the Dalits from exploitation as that of the past. Reservations. When you think of reservations, the one person that strikes is Ambedkar. But Ambedkar didn't favor reservations. He wanted the Dalits to stand on their own and not put on crutches. But after arguments with other leaders, Ambedkar agreed to reservations only to depressed class, that is, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and only for 10 years after promulgation of the Indian Constitution. In India, seats are specially reserved for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes in public institutions. For scheduled castes, it's 15%, for scheduled tribes, it's 7.5%, and other backward class, it is 27%. Scheduled caste. Well, scheduled caste were deprived for hundreds of years, and their social economic position is very, very low, so they definitely need reservations. Scheduled tribes. Since they live in forest areas, very remote areas, they have very, very poor infrastructure regarding in health, education, or transport facility. So they are economically backward when compared to other cities or towns. So people living in forest, that is scheduled tribes, definitely need reservations. But some of the SCs and STs already advantaged by these reservations are economically good and socially good than the unreserved class. They should voluntarily stop taking reservations because they are robbing the brain power from the motherland and thereby hindering the growth of India. Even Ambedkar would never allow this. OBC, other backward classes. They are Shudras, that is unskilled laborers, that is blacksmiths, goldsmiths, cobblers, washermen, etc. As these classes were socially and economically backward, government introduced reservations for them. It was easy at that point of time to recognize these underprivileged based on their occupations or communities. So the government gave reservations on the basis of communities. But in today's era, one should question or argue over the communities as the sole factor for giving reservations. As blacksmith's son isn't a blacksmith anymore, he can either be an engineer or doctor. So these community-based reservations should be stopped. Are reservations doing justice? The number of people economically backward is not only specified to one particular community. Even unreserved class are now economically backward. So just giving reservations on the basis of a community is just a foolish thing. Politicians use these reservations as a vote bank policy, and as a result, the country is being deprived of talented minds and the growth is hindered. And every Indian has to stop this injustice. Reservations cannot continue forever in India, and it cannot be stopped instantaneously. We need a planned approach to give reservations only to the deserved people and thereafter remove reservations completely from India within few years. If you guys have any ideas or any planned approach for a substitute for reservation or stopping reservations, please comment below. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind.